Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of our tutorial 2D sketch to 3D sculpt. So in this part we're going to focus just on the spacesuit. So to get started, what I would like to do is we need to first decide kind of the main shape before we begin to jump into details and adding folds and the zipper and some knee pads, right? Let's just decide if we are happy with the main shape of our spacesuit. So I'm going to grab my move brush. I'm going to make sure my active symmetry is on, and let's see. Let's check and see if we have anything. If we have any subdivision on our mesh, which we don't, right? It's just a 128 Dynamesh with 127,000 points. So all of that is really important to keep in mind. If we wanted to get rid of some of this kind of a wobbly stuff, right? If you have something like that on your end, z-remeshing is the best way to deal with that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to z-remesh, and I'm just going to simply z-remesh this with, I'm going to turn adapt off, or you know what, I'm going to leave it on to make sure I keep those sharp edges. And active symmetry is on, right? Because this is symmetrical. And let's just see if we can go ahead and z-remesh this real quick. All right, and I'm gonna smooth this out. I'm gonna jump out of adapt actually and do z-remesh again, and just simplify it even further, and I'll just do it one more time. All right, so now I have kind of a low poly version of my spacesuit, which is nice because this is gonna allow me to do any other sculpting, right? If I wanted to maybe adjust some of this connection here, I can do that. Let's go ahead and make any adjustments we want. If we smooth this out, you can see it's going to be a lot easier to deal with, right? Because it's so low poly. We can move this stuff around, make sure nothing is going inside the body. And just make sure that you're happy again with the main basic shape, right, of your character. And make sure it looks nice and clean and is ready for some further detailing, right? One of the things that I want to point out that I really enjoy about my sculpt specifically is that I really do like the idea of kind of large to skinny and then getting large again. So you got kind of this, I suppose, like a Mickey Mouse shape, right? So you have large hands, huge feet, and kind of a little body, right? So if I wanted to emphasize that even more, I could take something like my move brush and maybe make these have even more volume on the bottom and maintain kind of this skinny flow on top, right? So shapes are really, really important, especially when it comes to sculpting. So this is a great time to play around and kind of explore and see what you like and what makes sense as far as your character goes, right? I think this is great. If I wanted to make maybe this a little skinnier to emphasize this even more, kind of exaggerate the proportions a little bit. And so I like this. I think this is good as far as like the base shape goes, right? So it's nice and clean. I'm going to jump out of polyframe and let's go ahead and start subdividing this. So I'm going to press Control D a few times and let's get this up to something like, I'm at 600,000 points. That's fine. So looking at the reference, what are the few key points we can think about? So the main one right away that comes to mind is the zipper, right? Let's go ahead and get that going. So to get the zipper, I need to go to my brushes and let me just grab one of these existing ones. So there's two options here, right? There's the IMM zipper M and there's this other one, and you can see the difference between the two. I'm just gonna go with this first one. Very cool. And I am also going to jump out of the symmetry. I don't need two zippers. And I'm going to simply drag a zipper right in the middle. All right, I'm getting a message. This mesh is composed of multiple subdivision levels. Please delete or freeze. Well, there's no please, just delete or freeze, right? I'm going to undo. And I do need to freeze my subdivision level, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And let's go ahead and drag this one more time and see if we like our zipper. If you want to change the size of this, obviously that's gonna change based on the size of your brush, right? So I want to make sure there's something that kind of makes sense. So, but at the same time, cartoony and large, right? Let's say this is way too big. Try again. And I want to make sure it's straight. So let's say I'm happy with something along these lines. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and commit to it by clicking on the mesh. And you can see there's a red line right in the middle, right? The red line is indicating where we drag the zipper, and it has a curve, right? So we can actually modify this curve if we want to change the size of it. I can make it smaller. I can tap on it. You can see how that works. You can also change the position of it. But let's say I'm happy with this. Maybe make it just a little bit smaller, right? Let's say I'm happy with this. If you want to commit to it, you just simply click on the mesh and you see the line went away. And that means that now this is a sculptable mesh. But remember, we did froze our subdivision for the suit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Subtools and I'm going to say Split on Masked. And I'm going to put my zipper on its own level, right? Its own layer. Now I can always go back here. I can always go to Geometry and I can click Unfreeze. And that's going to give me back my mesh the way I had it initially, right? So let's jump back into our subtools. Let's go back to our zipper and let's just make sure that it's kind of aligned properly. I'm going to jump out of the perspective mode, and what I would like to do now is just simply rotate this. So I'm going to go to Move. I can center this, and let me just start to kind of get it into position to align to the mesh, right? So something like that is perfect. Now I can do, let's go to brushes and let's grab that other brush. Where is it? Called Move Infinity. That's fine. Or Move Infinite. And I'm just gonna start, I need to make sure that this is not on. I'm not sure why that's on. I'm just gonna start kind of very carefully putting it into position. Make sure that it kind of makes sense from the side, and again, I'm not in the perspective mode, so I know it's nice and straight. The infinite brush is making sure that I'm doing this on both sides properly, right? Just like the active symmetry. Very nice. And we can see if this makes sense. All right. I kind of like this. I think that's kind of cute. Next, let's see, what should we do next? I think we should add some folds to this spacesuit. Now, you might think that the zipper doesn't go to the end or the top. It doesn't really make sense yet, but I'm planning on adding some more detail here. So I think it will make sense once we are done, right? So let's go to our suit layer, and it's currently masked. I'm going to do Control and drag to unmask it. And what I would like to do is I would like to start adding some detail to this, right? So just like I talked in the previous two videos, I'm going to use my fold brush, which you can find in part 1, video part 1 of this. There's a link to the brush, and I'm just going to grab it. It's called CG Cloth 1. I'm going to turn my active symmetry on, and I'm just going to start adding little folds that kind of make sense, right? So maybe you have something like this in the front. You can make it just a little more intense. And holding down the Alt key, I can push in, and then I can also smooth if I wanted to, right? So you can see right away it feels like it's more of a material, which is really nice. I would like to do the same thing in these areas here. I do have some additional components here, but I think maybe we'll add those as different geo, right? Instead of extruding it from here. I think that would be kind of fun. So for that reason, I'm just going to simply start going in here and just add kind of more of a cloth feel. This is going to be my bend part of the elbow, so maybe I can do something like that. I can add a couple here. Just very little, but right away it's starting to feel a little more dynamic, right? Actually, this one could be maybe folding a little more. All right. And let's go ahead and maybe add a couple to the knees, just a little bit, not too much, because I do want to add some sculpting to this as well. Let's come back on the back. Let's push this in, right? This is where the leg is going to bend. We can give him some creases on the tush. Same thing. Something like that makes sense. Let's do some on the back here. And of course, find the elbow, right? That's going to be important. Add a couple here. And very quickly, again, it starts to feel a little more like cloth versus, or some kind of a suit versus just a boring, ugly blob, right? Very nice. Now, one of the things I think it would be really fun if these pans had some kind of a detail, right? So it's not too plain, right? Maybe you want to go for kind of a clean silver look that would make sense, but I think it would be fun if we added a little more detail here. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm not on the perspective view. I'm going to hold down the control key, and in my quick pick, holding down the control key, I'm going to choose mask rectangular. My active symmetry is on, and I'm going to go ahead and mask pieces of this mesh. Now I don't have enough points, right? Because you can see this is not very smooth. I don't want to Dynamesh this. I don't want to turn this into Dynamesh because I really do want to retain my initial low poly frame, right? Because this is going to be needed for if we want to turn this into a low res character. So for that reason, I don't want to delete this. It's kind of a really important big piece of the character. I want to maintain that. So I'm not going to turn this into Dynamesh anymore. I'm going to jump out of polyframe, but I do need more points. So to do that, I'm going to achieve more points, I need to simply subdivide it. Right now I'm on level 5. I'm going to press Control D. That's going to take me to 2.6 million. If you turn your polyframe on, you can see it's going to give us a lot more points to play with, right? Which is nice. So now if I hold down the Control key, I can attempt to achieve maybe that masking a little bit better. It's still kind of jaggedy, but I think I can work with this, right? So let's just go ahead and do something like this. And you know what? I'm going to go all the way down here. That's fine. Now what I could do is this one is a little too thick. So I'm going to do Control Alt and I'm going to make this one a little bit thinner. All right, maybe this one too. Let's say I like this. I'm going to hold on Control and I'm going to tap right here. And that's going to smooth this out. Now what I can do is hold on Control and click to flip my mask. And then go back in the middle again, Control and click again to smooth this even more. And you can see what that's doing, right? It's dealing with those jaggedy masking selection issues. Which means if I press Control and click again, it's going to go back to this view. Now what I would like to do is I want to mask the rest of this except the pants. So holding down the Control key, I'm just going to mask all of this all the way to the first line right here. Okay. So now all of this is masked, so it's not going to be affected by me inflating. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to inflate this. But before I inflate it, I would actually like to also add a line on the side as well. So holding down the Control key, I'm going to switch this to pen. And I'm going to make my brush very tiny. And I'm going to turn on Lazy Mouse while holding on the Control key because I'm only dealing with the mask right now. I'm going to turn on my Lazy Radius. And if you're not sure what this is located in Stroke Lazy Radius. And this button is located in also Stroke Lazy Mouse. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on the Control key and just make another line going all the way down to the bottom. And that is looking pretty cool. I can also do the same thing in the middle of the pants. That's kind of to be almost like a seam. So do something like that, and I think that that works. All right. Now what I could do is I can go ahead and start inflating. If you're not sure where that is, this is located in Tool, Deformation, Inflate. So I'm going to start inflating my pants up a little bit. And now I'm going to control and drag to get rid of my masking. Let's make our brush a little bit larger. Hold down the Shift key and let's just smooth this a little bit, right? So we're kind of creating this really interesting spacey looking pattern that's a little bit unusual, and I think that is going to give us an interesting detail and make the pants feel a little more spacey. Okay, I think that's really cool. Now we don't have that in the reference, but I think that was a really fun little detail. Let's go ahead and also do something with the sleeves. You can see in the reference I have kind of a larger sleeves here, right? So one thing that we haven't done yet is we haven't played with zModeler, and maybe that would be a fun opportunity to take a look at that as well. So let's see, if I wanted to create this sleeve going all the way around, I can of course simply mask this piece, right? I can do something like that and just grab that and inflate it. You know, I can reverse this, we can clean this up a little, do something like that, and we can inflate that, right? That would be one way of doing it, but then you kind of have this similar effect as you have down here, right? That's a little more kind of, it's not as clean. What if you want it to be something a little more you know, like a tech, right? It feels like almost like a bracelet or something instead of having be part of the cloth. So to do this, what I would do is let's have some fun. Let's go to Brush and let's grab something called Curve Strap Snap. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to go to the top view and make my brush just a little bit smaller. And what I could do now is I'm gonna make sure that my active symmetry is on, so I know that's going to be doing it on both sides. And if I start dragging across my sleeve and then hold down the Shift key and go off, I can create kind of like a ring, right? You can see that. Now if I let go, it's going to tell me that once again my mesh needs to be frozen, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And let's go ahead and click on our line. And now we are left with something really interesting. It's giving us a very clean geo of a ring, right, around our sleeve. Now that's pretty cool because if let's go ahead and click on this mesh to commit to it. So now we're kind of left with it. I'm going to grab my move, make it relatively large, and just kind of adjust this maybe a little more. Maybe get it a little closer to the end. Now the thickness of this was controlled by the intensity of the brush when we dragged it, so keep that in mind if your thickness is a little different. That's what created that. Okay, and let's say we are happy with this position. I think that's pretty neat. What we could do next is let's turn on our polyframe so we can see what's going on. But what we could do is we can go to our brushes and let's click on zModeler, right? If I hover over, you can see if I hover over this edge right here, hold down the space bar, I can go into Bevel, and in Bevel I have something called Edge Loop Complete is on by default. So now if I click on this edge and start dragging, you can see I can create this really interesting bevel, and I'm going to let it go. And now to add one to this side, I just simply click. So now I have it on both sides, right? And if we wanted to add more detail inside this ring, we could do that too. We can go to something like Insert, and we can just start inserting edges. So let's say we want to do some more interesting detail in the middle, right? So I could do something like this. I can press spacebar and go to Polygroups and switch this to Poly Loop. Now if I click on, if you look very carefully, there's these lines, right, that appear on both sides. If I click on, let's say, it doesn't matter which one, but if I click on it, you can see that the entire poly loop was selected, right? It turned a different color, which means if I go back into QMesh and my poly group all is on under QMesh, which means if I hover over the middle of it, and you can see there's like a little pole sticking out. I'm not doing this or this, it's right in the middle. I can press this in and I can start creating really interesting, intricate little details that are part of this sleeve, right? So just a little opportunity to maybe take a look at zModeler. And zModeler is very powerful and has amazing set of details, but it's usually used for kind of a low poly stuff. But let's say we are happy with this, right? I'm gonna jump out of my polyframe. I want to split this away from the suit. So to do that, I'm gonna go to Subtools and I'm gonna split on masked. So you can see it's now on a different layer. I'm gonna go back here and let's go ahead and unfreeze our suit one more time. And it's masked, so I'm gonna do Control and drag to unmask it. Go back to Subtools, go back to my newly created sleeves here, or bracelets, I guess. And now check this out. If I press Control D, right, it's kind of neat, but it's gonna lose some of that detail. So you could do this. Let's do it one more, and that looks really cool and clean, right? That's one. If you're happy with this, that's pretty cool. But let me undo this. Let's say you wanted to maintain this bevel, right? If you want to maintain this bevel, you could go to Geometry and then go into Crease and then do Crease Polygroups. If you click on that and then try to Control D this one more time, you will see what's happening. It's maintaining this really clean bevel and keeping the shape, right? So it's a completely different look and feel. So it depends what you're looking for, but in my case, I was looking for something more along these lines. I think that's really neat. And there you have it. So now we have this really cool sleeve. We have a zipper. We got these kind of a puffy pants, right? Let's see, what else can we do? Let's add some maybe detail. How about we chisel some detail in the spacesuit, right? Just for fun, why not? So let's do this. Let's go into Subtools, let's click on our suit. And I can of course select it using layers, or you can just hold on the Alt key and tap, and that's gonna switch the layer just the same, right? Doesn't matter. I have a lot of points here, so I should be okay using a chisel brush. Now, if you go into your brushes and press C, you will see there's something called chisel. Now, the chisel brush is really fun. I'm gonna leave it on brush tip 1, and I'm gonna, if you have your lazy mouse, turn that on, right? I'm gonna set mine to 80. And now you can see if I start kind of dragging this along, it's a really fun way to add detail to your stuff, right? So I'm gonna make my brush size even smaller, maybe like 20. And one thing I want to point out is when you're using chisel brush, check this out. You start making a design, and then you, if you don't let your mouse go and you just keep dragging, it's gonna make a nice connection right in the corner. But if you let go of the mouse and then come back and try to drag this again, it's gonna do this really ugly connection. And that's super annoying. And the way you can combat that is you can come here to Morph Target. If I click on that and I say Store Morph Target, right? Now check this out. If I drag this again and then release my mouse and then come back here and start dragging this again, you have a much better connection where it's not going deeper, right? It's not going deeper into the mesh. And that is a really interesting trick. So keep that in mind if you're using chisel and you're chiseling away. So what I want to do is I want to start adding some detail to the suit. So maybe one of the things I could do is I want some kind of a, let's do add. Let's just maybe add like a little lip going all the way around the suit. All right, let's do something like that. And what I would like to do next is I'm gonna go on each side of this and just go down. And maybe I can go this way. All right, I could also go down the middle. And I need to make sure that I'm straight. And I would like to go all the way around. Go here. And just again, just adding fun detail to the suit. And then from here, maybe I can do something, you know, interesting. Maybe we can do something like that. It's a little more kind of spacey, high-tech looking. And maybe we can do something maybe a little bit unusual. Do something like this. And create more of a kind of a custom pattern here. So again, chisel brush is a lot of fun. Especially with the lazy mouse on, you can do a lot of fun things. And let's maybe connect this line here to this one here. All right, so you can see what I did, and let's see what else can we do. So maybe maybe there's a line from here to here. All right, so it's just totally up to you. I think this is pretty cool. I can maybe do a little more. So we're almost kind of concepting in real time, right? It's fun to have a reference, but it's also sometimes fun to experiment and just see what, you know, if you like something, you can always delete it if you don't. It feels like there should be a line here as well. Maybe I wanted some additional detail here, right? What I could do is I could do subtract. Let's just maybe add a couple lines here. Maybe there's like a little breathing vent kind of thing. I can make my brush a little bit larger. I can smooth this out if I wanted to, or not. Maybe maybe that's pretty good actually. All right, I'm gonna go into my perspective mode and let's do a quick BPR and see how it feels. All right, next, let's just add some knee pads to this. So let's do something as simple as insert a simple box. And let's just simply put the box into position of where we want our knee pad to be. So somewhere around here is fine. I'm gonna change the thickness of my knee pad. And let's go ahead and bring it forward. And before rotating it even more, let's just maybe kind of sculpt it, jump out of perspective mode. Let's just kind of sculpt it into what we want it to be first, right? So we can use our active symmetry, which I'm going to turn on. And what I'm going to do next is hold down Control Shift, go into my knife tool, and let's just start carving this up, right? So maybe we have something like this. And I do need to have my local symmetry on, that's important. So let's go ahead and start cutting this up. So maybe you have something like this, and let's go ahead and do one down here as well. Very cool. Let's see, I'm looking at this, and another thing that we have, looks like there's one inside, right, as well. So what I could do is I can come here, maybe make this a little bit skinnier, hold on the Control key, make another one right over it, and then I can just simply kind of scale this in and scale it just a little bit inside the thing, right? So something like that I think is pretty cool. Let's take a look. And I think that works. If we wanted to adjust the size of it, we could do that. We can also bend this a little, right, if we wanted to. So we can go to little gear, go to bend curve. I still have 3 points on this orange cone. It's going to control how many dots you have, so you can move this as you wish. So I can put this into position, maybe just, again, have a little bit of a curve here. And I think that works. Let's go ahead and actually say accept. I'm done with it. And I'm just going to tilt it just a little bit to match kind of the flow of the leg, right? And of course you can decide on the size of this as you wish. I think something like that works. We can decide if we want to have a strap holding this together into place. Maybe there's like a little strap. If there is a strap, it could be just something as simple as a ring. So let's go ahead and add a ring. And let's go ahead and move it down into position. So maybe scale it a little more. And I'm just going to make sure that it's kind of, it kind of has the size that we would need to hold this knee pad, right? So I'm going to go this way. I'm going to go this way as well. And let's just keep adjusting it. Maybe rotate it just a little bit more. And put it into position. I think that works. I kind of like it round. If we wanted to not have it round, we can always go into polyframe, and we can always Z-remesh this if we felt like we want to optimize this. That would be one way. The other way would be to just simply jumping into Z-modeler, and then if you hover over a edge and press on it, you can say something like delete, and we could do delete edge loop complete. And now what we can do is we can go along and just simply kill all this extra edges that we, maybe we don't want, right? That's going to give us kind of a nice bevel, and maybe that's just a little bit better, right? We can press Ctrl D to smooth this out a few times. I think that's pretty cool. Now to copy this to the other side, let's go ahead and simply let's just simply duplicate this and mirror it. All right, it's telling me I can't have subdivision. I'm gonna actually dial this back down. I'm gonna delete higher, and I'm gonna mirror it now. So now I have one on the other side. I'm going to hold on the Alt key and click on the knee pad, and let's mirror this as well. And I forgot to duplicate it, so again I'm going to come here, duplicate it, and mirror it. So now I have two of them. Very cool. Alright, to clean these up, I can always do, let's do a crease. I'll just subdivide this a bunch of times so it's a little smoother. Let's do the same thing to this one. I'm going to crease it and subdivide it, so now it's a little bit smoother. That takes care of that. So now we have these awesome knee pads with cool knee straps, with awesome space pants. We got the zipper, we got the bracelets or the sleeves, and let's take a look. The only thing that we're missing from the initial reference is maybe these shoulder things, right? So if we wanted to add some more shoulder things, I think what I would do is I would probably, instead of drawing it on the actual mesh, I think it would be cool if we just did the same thing as we did with the sleeves, kind of added some kind of an interesting design here by just going to brushes, grabbing something like the curve, strap snap one more time, and of course it's going to ask us to freeze this, so let's go ahead and freeze this subdivision, and I'm going to just draw a line, hold on the shift key, And let me see if I want to. I'm not gonna work in active symmetry just yet. I just want to let's drag this along. Hold on the shift key and make like a ring. And let's think about this. What would be the best way to do this? I think it's going to be. Let's go from the sleeve up. So I'm going to make one here, just like this. And then keep in mind again, the Z intensity is going to be the thickness of this. So if I turn this down and tap on it, you can see it's smaller. And if I bring this up and tap on it, it's going to be larger, right? So keep that in mind. But let's say I'm happy with this and I'm going to use this geo to create kind of this effect on the sleeve, right? So I'm going to click on the mesh here to get rid of the curved line. I'm going to go back into subtool and I'm going to split unmasked. So it's going to put this in its own layer. You can see that here. Let me come back here again and unfreeze this. All right, I'm going to do Control and drag to also unmask it. Go back into my subtools, click on my new geometry here. And let's do a couple things. I'm going to actually make a duplicate just in case, mess this up. And let me grab my move. And to move it, I need to find my pivot. There it is. I'm going to center it. And what I'm going to do is, let me just move this into a better position, maybe make it a little bit larger. And let's just maybe start kind of warping it a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to create the shape here, right? So what I could do is I think I can just use move brush and just kind of make something very interesting and unique by simply working with this shape. So I can even subdivide it. Let's do Control D a couple times. And I actually like, I'm not going to hold the edges. I actually like that it's more of a kind of a blob, right, to match the reference here. It's more, I guess, organic, right? Let's just kind of put this into position. And maybe bring this forward a little more. And it's creating kind of a custom shoulder pad effect in a very interesting, unique way. I can bring this up a little more. All right, and it's kind of neat because it almost feels like a cloth of some sort. And if you wanted to, of course, we can always go to geometry. We can delete lower. We can go to Z remesher. And let's go ahead and dial this way down. So like we'll go back to 1 and just Z remesh this thing. And that's going to give us something super low. Right? You can see what that looks like. And now we can sculpt it even more if we wanted to. Or maybe we want to add a little additional detail in there, right? Using Z modeler, we can do that. We can even do half, dilate even more. Let's just keep going more and more. So something like that, right? So it's even more manageable. And now, as before, let's go to Z modeler, like that. I think I'm going to go with 1. Switch it to Q mesh, and switch it to polygroup all. And let's just push this in. I'm just going to push it in a little bit because it's starting to break for some reason. But if I jump out, you can see what that looks like. If I press Control D, I'm actually not liking it because I do want to go back into my crease. I'm going to do crease polygroups, and now if I press Control D, it's going to retain that sharp edge, which is really cool. Alright, so now I can always duplicate it and mirror it to the other side, and let me go ahead and delete higher, mirror this over, and now I can subdivide this again to level 5, just like this one. Right? The only thing that I would do is maybe add a little more design here to tie in the zipper or bring the zipper higher up. So as a final touch, let's go ahead and maybe do that. I can turn this down, I can grab my zipper. Let's grab our, we can grab our move brush, or once again, just grab something like the move infinite, go in the side view, jump out of the perspective view, and maybe just move this up a little more. So it feels like it fits the jacket a little better. All right, move this a little higher. All right, and I think that looks actually even better. All right, so we'll just have to decide if we want to do part 4, and I think we do, right? We should turn this into a low poly version, and also do some maybe poly painting and maybe add some texture to this guy. All right, so I'm gonna stop here. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. I hope you learned a few new tricks, and we'll see you in our next video.